Today we're going to be going over the auctions ending anywhere between Friday the 22nd of November and Sunday the 24th of November. Let's go ahead and get right into it with this Pastel Chocolate Hypo Desert Ghost. Now, we went over this one on the live as well, and it's just so incredible. I think I remarked how I'd like to see it without pastel. However, I think that is giving it a nice little look in there, like almost like a greenish, mossy type look in there. I mean, you'll have to excuse these. I don't know what's going on with Morphmarket today, but you're gonna see some circles in the middle. But it does give a very mossy look. Like, I mean, this is arguably green right here. These particular scales. It's a mossy green, but you know, green I think is possible in the right situations. It almost always involves hypo in my opinion, but this is a really nice one. And again, yeah, I say green, but I'm talking about like right there-ish, like right on the edge, like right after the black kind of just morphs into a green before it changes into this like pale yellow in the middle of the pattern and stuff like that. It's just so gorgeous. And the Hypo DG, about one of the cleanest, brightest things on the planet Earth, no doubt. Chocolate is a wonderful gene, just absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to start working some of that stuff eventually. I don't have it in my collection yet, but that's going to be remedied at some point here. So very, very beautiful animal. And what's better is it's huge. You might be thinking like, oh, I'm looking at a baby or something like that. No, this is a big boy. 1,250 grams. It's a proven breeder at that. So if you want to work some of these Hypo DG projects, look no further than this very, very, very powerful boy. Moving right along to this super blackhead 100% hip hide. Another one that we went over on the auctions. It's from Breeder Circle, who is a very trustable breeder. I absolutely love the blackhead project. It is so gorgeous. I can't get enough of it because it is a dark morph, but look here, you see a lot of contrast. Blackhead is primarily a dark morph, and you can see it there between its head, which kind of gets its name, but in general has a darker pattern. But what it does exceptionally well is that it works well with the light side as well, which means that it contrasts incredibly well. It goes tandem. It doesn't fight for dominance on the snake. It says, let's work together. Incredible genetic that can be worked into just about anything. It's wonderful in pied. If you're looking to make dark pieds, but you're worried about, say, the black pastels and the super black pastels and kind of what happens there with the kinking and everything like that, you don't need to worry about that with blackhead. It's wonderful. And this animal is always going to produce a copy of the blackhead. You'll never get a normal. Everything will be blackhead. And then you can put this to a visual pied, because why not, right? A visual pied boy. And then you've got a good chance of getting blackhead pieds at minimum, not counting what else you're bringing to the table with that boy, which you should be bringing quite a bit. Again, why not? It's not going to be incredibly expensive to source a decent male to put to this awesome girl. So definitely a very, very beautiful animal, and one that's got a little bit of power to boot. Moving right along to this Yellowbelly clown, that's Het for Desert Ghost. Nothing too crazy here, but and this one definitely caught my eye if you wanted to work the Desert Ghost clowns. Yellowbelly's a really great gene to work in all cases. You get yourself a Desert Ghost Het Clown girl to save a little bit of money with, I don't know, maybe Spotnose or the aforementioned blackhead, and kind of go to town and make some really beautiful things. I got another one that's in the clown DG, but this one is a clown double het DG pied. So no Yellowbelly along for the ride here, but instead you kind of swap it out for the pied gene. So if you wanted to try and create the triple het, this would be a key ingredient, and doing so while not completely breaking your bank. I don't think he'll go for a whole bunch, quite frankly. I definitely think it'll go for more than what it is currently bidding at $25, but I really do not think that this will break the bank in any way, shape, or form. If this is the sort of thing you're going for, is in that triple recessive category, this would be a decent one to get if you're trying to do it on a budget. This one is incredible. This would be a super fire het clown or clown, possible hurricane, orange dream, red stripe, Spotnose, Yellowbelly. So yeah, it could be a lot more than what just meets the eye. So it's super fire, and super fire can mostly usually create an all-white snake with black eyes, similar to how Super Yellowbelly, the ivory, creates an all-white snake with black eyes. However, I find with the all-white snake black-eyed ones, for whatever reason, they don't always follow the rules of just being all white. And make no mistake, the same thing with the Super Fire, or especially the Super Sulfurs that I've ever seen, which Sulfur is very, very similar to Fire. I don't know if it's the same, but I feel like the Sulfurs maybe a little bit more potent too. But this is really incredible. Almost looks like it's got blue eyes there in the picture. But the point is that since it's Super Fire, this could actually be a visual clown, because the pairing here was a Fire Spotnose, Red Stripe, Yellowbelly Het Clown to a Fire Orange Dream Hurricane Clown. Read that backwards, but it checks out just fine. You can actually test all of this, by the way. So if you wanted to, you could send in a panel test. You could actually build your own tests, buy a 4-test bundle, and add an additional test for $10 each. But if you only wanted to test for a couple, or if you needed to use this for a different thing, we actually have a code which allows you to buy one, get one free. It's code Rhino. You put it in there, and in the notes section, you explain what you want to use the free test for. It can be used on the same animal or on one separate individual animal as well. So if you can take advantage of that, please do so. But this guy here has a lot of power to him, especially if any of that proves out. I mean, he's gonna at least be Het Clown, and honestly, it looks like he could be quite a bit more. So quite a bit of potential here, in my opinion. If I had to guess, there's definitely not just a super fire Het Clown here. I think you're getting Orange Dream. You could be getting Red Stripe or Yellowbelly, probably Yellowbelly, but it's of course impossible to tell without doing the test or breeding it out. So just send that test in and be certain before you end up breeding them so that you know what direction you want to go when you breed this boy if you do pick him up. Moving right along to a couple sunsets I found on here. This one will be ending the day you watch this. I think sunsets are coming down. Ironically, I think this one will go for more money, if I had to guess, than the one we saw at the Tinley Park show. We actually saw one being sold for $800. I don't know why. I didn't really get a quick look at it. That was the cheapest I ever saw one. This one being a girl at that's pretty cool and pretty powerful. So I don't doubt that this one will go above that $800 mark, but still, a cheaper way to get a sunset, no doubt, is on the auctions. And we got another one here with 48 hours, this one being a boy, however. Maybe get both so that you can start working a sunset project. You know, create your own individual sunsets as well to help fuel other projects and put this boy eventually to more things to create some hets along with some codominants and such in there, maybe some double hets as well. So wouldn't be a bad way at all to start and jump into the sunset project for such two quality looking animals here. Sticking with orangish type animals would be this Scrambler Black Pastel Super Orange String Yellowbelly. And this is an incredibly beautiful orange animal. Scrambler is a newer gene that's been out there. I started seeing them from Chris Hernan. I think they were literally founded by him. This parent was a Scrambler, Black Pastel, the Barnhart line at that, Orange Dream, the deep orange line, Yellowbelly, from Chris Hernan to an Orange Dream, Pastel, Leopard. So that means that this Black Pastel is not just any Black Pastel, it's the Barnhart Black Pastel, which is its own proven gene, believe it or not. It's not a polygenic form of Black Pastel. However, it is completely allelic and it acts precisely the same. But I do think it's like a supercharged version of Black Pastel. It just does things better, in my opinion. It's very, very nice. And as you can see it here too, this is one of the more incredible looking animals, especially for orange, that I've seen. So much radiance out of this. Just looks like it's bursting fire out of it. And as you can see, this one does have quite a bit of interest, and I think that that will continue for at least a bit here. So still a really cool, beautiful girl. There's a lot of different directions you can go with something like this. I feel like that's not necessary, you know, at least in some of these projects. I do think that we live in a game where recessives are kind of the name of the game, for better or worse. It just is a fact. You should be working a lot of things in recessive if your goal is to do anything monetarily. They just hold their value better. But with that being said, not everything has to follow that. You know, there's freeways, there's highways. The bells have had their value. They always have a good market. They're not great in terms of projects, of course, but something like this is also something that doesn't necessarily need it. With all that tangent out of the way, I do think that this could be served well by adding some sort of recessives. And immediately, of course, I'm not going to blow anyone's mind here. I would love to see it with pied. I'd love to see it with a clown, but I think another one I would really like to see it with would be lavender. And that might sound crazy because it might seem like that would change it up a bit, but I think that with a few different additions in there, that this would be one of the more bright, beautiful lavenders I've ever seen. So there's a lot of different ways you could go about this for sure, but it's a very beautiful animal. I want to take a quick break to talk about the Hognoses. There's never as many on here, but I wanted to show at least 3 of them off here because they're very, very nice today. First off, starting with this Axanthic Superconda. It's also 100% Het Toffee belly. We have a few of the Toffee bellies here, but this is not only just any of them, he's a proven male, so he's ready to breed right off the bat. I say this all the time, and normally I don't care for what the Superconda does by itself anyways, but when it's paired with certain things, like a color morph basically, then I do like it, because the color kind of radiates through it and you get this really, really cool gray looking snake, like a ghostly white-gray snake. It's very, very nice, but it keeps the head pattern in place though. Isn't that neat? It's crazy how genetics work, where it can just do all that, but then say, yeah, the head pattern stays. The Superconda is 2 copies of the Conda gene, obviously. 1 copy just kind of makes it look like, well, an anaconda pattern, which is where it kind of got its name from. And it kind of strips that color away, similar as it does in ball pythons and stuff like that. So if you wanted to work the Toffee belly in there too, it's like a form of like kind of albinism and stuff like that. Kind of similar to how Toffee and candy work in ball pythons, but its own little unique flair to it. So next up would be this absolutely beautiful animal. I don't think I've ever seen one with quite so much contrast as this super arctic high black 66% het Toffee belly. So there are polygenic traits in Hognoses. There's no doubt about it, and JMG has made a niche for themselves as being arguably one of the best hognose breeders by paying attention and breeding out strong lines of polygenic traits and furthering them along and doing it very, very well, quite frankly. Most super arctics do not look like this, but this one does, and it's insane. This is a nearly cookies and cream looking animal. Very, very, very pretty. Very white and yet still very dark at the same time. Again, if it proves out as Toffee belly, that's just an extra bonus. Whether you want this as a pet or a breeder, this would be a very good one. From a incredible breeder who spent time putting together the perfect little puzzle pieces to kind of just make this come together and just look as beautiful and stunning as it does. It's not an easy task. You have to have a lot of patience to make animals like this and be prepared for setbacks. But this is incredible, and it's so beautiful. Look at that belly too. I love Hognoses bellies. Just insane. It's cookies and cream right here. And an Oreo. It's unbelievably beautiful. I got nothing else to say. Just gorgeous. I'm surprised it's not a little bit more. Like, for real. It'd be interesting to see what this one ends at. Finally, we got a Sunburst here, which is a combination of albino and sable, which is arguably the most popular combo morph amongst Hognoses right now. I would say for sure it is. I'm planning to make these. I love the albino. Honestly, for Hognoses, I think it's about the most incredible albino, at least for the normal albinos, that you can get in an animal right now. I think that it is absolutely gorgeous. And Sunburst just, well, it bursts even more coloring and whatnot. So it has a great contrast between these beautiful oranges and like a pale sherbet kind of whiter orange. It's very, very, very beautiful. Again, another one that I'm surprised is so low right now. They still go for a high amount, and don't get me wrong, a lot of action happens in that last 5 minutes or so. Really nice Hognoses this week up there, so definitely take a look if that suits your fancy. Moving right along to this Orange Dream Hurricane Clown. Hurricane Clowns are really, really nice. In fact, you can take a look at our number 5 pick from the Tinley Park show, this Super Hurricane Orange Dream Yellowbelly Clown right here. Also happens to be het pied, but that is not what we are talking about today, but that has some of the genes that we're looking at right here. You're missing an extra copy of Hurricane and Yellowbelly, but that's about it. It's absolutely incredible what Hurricane can do with Clown, including what it does to these like eye stripes. You know, most of the time Clown takes them away. Hurricane kind of just brings them back, but then kind of makes them wavy and thick. And I don't think it's like they're actually bringing them back. I just think it's crazy for the pattern, and it just so happens to be along the side of the face there. Nothing that really does that, especially for Clown. It's usually got some really cool head stamp, or it just wipes the head completely clean when you get Clown combos. So really powerful girl here. I mean, you could think about many of the ways you could go, including recreating that. You get a Hurricane Yellowbelly Clown. You could recreate what I just showed you, just minus the het pied, of course. But there's just so much beauty with it, and Hurricane is a very, very good gene. It jumbles things up, but kind of keeps it a little bit more bright than, say, something like Leopard would do, which in some cases are really nice. It keeps it clean and nice and bright. Moving right along to this Super Orange Dream Yellowbelly Banana Clown, 100% het pied. Lots of power in this girl here, and lots of brightness at that too. All these genes, they go together so well to create just an absolutely stunning, glowing animal. Banana Clowns will forever be one of my most favorite morphs. In fact, it is the morph that made me say I want to breed ball pythons. Just Banana Inchy Clown was the specific one that did it for me. So Banana Clowns will always hold a place in my heart, and why shouldn't they when they're this absolutely gorgeous? Orange Dream works incredibly well with it, including Yellowbelly. The fact that it's het pied is an extra bonus there too. If you want to make some great Clown pieds, this would be a wonderful way to do that too. Being a girl, there's just a bunch of power in this already. It's already kind of a powerhouse, so whatever male you put this to is just going to add even more to it. Black Pastel, Blackhead, things that add some really cool darkening contrast would be ideal. Bringing more of those just really nice lavenders would be really cool, I think. Moving on to a couple redheads here. One from Ball Python Shed. He has been putting a lot of redheads on lately, and in this one here, you can just see how cool it looks. It's a redhead Mojave clown, and if you know what a Mojave clown does, you know it doesn't quite do this. It's really nice. I love the whites that just peek up here, and then this just crazy looking back. I don't even know how to describe this, because I wouldn't say quite dried blood, but like the cracking of the earth or something like that. Really cool. Just, it works very, very well together. Redhead is a gene that's incredibly subtle, and most people might look at it and say, I don't get the point. But when you see it in combos, then you start to understand the point. And that is how some of these subtle genes work. They're so awesome, whereas by themselves they're just barely noticeable in some cases. You gotta look at guides on how to determine if they are even there. I mean, trust me, I work Russo. I know all about trying to figure out a subtle gene. Russo, I love it, but I hate it sometimes too, because it's so difficult to determine in some cases. But when you start to get it in certain combos, then it suddenly becomes less difficult, because it really starts to shine. It really starts to beautify itself. And Redhead is even more insane in that regards of how it presents itself once you start putting it into combos. It works hand in hand with Clown, and works quite well with quite a bit different amount of genes. And here's the thing, I haven't seen too much outside of Clown. There's so much potential for Redhead. Obviously with Clown, you know, it makes sense. It's very ideal to put it with it. It just, well, everything works well with Clown, right? So I get it, and I think this is a great direction that you could go, but you know, obviously even seeing this, I think that other combos would be really nice too. That said, this is a really powerful girl, and if you want to work a Redhead, this would be a great way to start it. Another one here with a little bit more time on it would be this Redhead Het Clown. So no Mojave, and missing the visual clown on it, but that probably means it'll go for a little bit cheaper. Now you can see what I'm starting to talk about though. You look at it and you'll be like, that's a normal, but you can kind of subtly see it right there in the head, the blushing in the head, and that's really it. That's all you really see on the regular ones, is this just kind of blushing right up there. There's a few other telltale signs and whatnot of it, but in general, that's where it kind of gets its name, Redhead. But when you get it into these combos, then you start to see the magic that it starts to do. Just absolutely gorgeous, and that's what I challenge people to see. You look at this, and you wonder why are people spitting so much on it? It's because of this. That's why, and you can bet it'll keep going. Same thing with this one. If you're really wanting to get into the Redhead Clown projects, I mean, heck, go all in and get them both. That would be really nice, right? I can't combine shipping because they are from two different breeders though, but they are both quality breeders at that. Another normalish looking animal, but this is a Het Monarch. From MSB Reptiles would be this normal Het Monarch girl here. If you wanted to start working Monarch and you wanted to, you know, make your own, this would be the great way to start it. So buy yourself a Het Monarch female. If you don't have a bunch of money, get something like here and grow her out. Get her to size. About a year before you get her to size, buy your male. Maybe things will change by then, you know, in a couple of years from now. And maybe then you'll be able to afford a visual at that time and you can start working combos even. But if you can't, then get yourself a Het male and roll the dice, take a chance. And while you're at it, you could probably afford it with some extra genes in there and do so to make an even better looking Monarch. You'll have a 1 in 4 chance when you breed it, but you know, when a snake on average lays about 6 eggs, you get a good chance of getting your own Monarch there, right? So that is a way to do it. It's a way to kind of create your own and get yourself into the project that way. And you can sell off anything that you didn't want to help make your money back, which it would immediately on something like this. 2 more for you here today, starting off with the Spotnose GHI Mojave Black Pastel 66% Het Clown Grill. It is incredible looking. I thought when I first looked at this that this was a stranger combo. It's not. It's a combination of all these genes and GHI just smashing it up at the same time. So this is why I work most of the genes in this right here. I don't have Mojave, but I have Mystic. They're very similar. So, but obviously you see this here, this 66% Het Clown, you're going to want to send in a shed test to RGI, you know, immediately. This is going to keep the price a little bit lower and could potentially be a very good deal for you, because regardless, this is a gorgeous animal. With or without the clown, obviously, but with the clown, that suddenly makes this more incredible in terms of its breeding power for sure. And you get a good chance of it proving out. You know, 66%, that's more than 50. Send in a shed test, find out, and that way you can properly source a boy to this. There's a whole bunch of directions you can go, no doubt. Obviously, you have 2 of the ingredients to make a Pompeii here with Black Pastel and Spotnose. You're missing red stripe, and Yellowbelly, but you know, you got other directions you can go here. Honestly, I'd just like to see the clown version of this. Pompeii is a great project. It's a good way to go, but I think that they're spinning off of that and trying to just maybe pick apart and swap out certain genes to see what happens, right? Because that's what we're all about, is finding the next great thing, you know, while we're trying to improve on and create our own cool combos amongst these things that people have already done. There's so many directions you can go with this. It's so beautiful. It is just so awesome, just this pattern. I really want to see this with the visual clown, no doubt in my mind. I think that would be an absolutely killer animal. And we are going to end it off on this lavender and orange looking animal, being this Barnhart Black Pastel, Blackhead, Banana, Leopard, Clown, Het, DGA, possible red gene, ringer gene. That's a lot of stuff. I actually thought this was a boy the first time I saw it. It's actually a girl, so it's about a third of the way there. You can see it here as a baby. You can see it here growing out. There's a reserve price on this one, but I do think that this is a pretty powerful animal. If you can beat that reserve price, I always say kind of bid up in little increments. So maybe do 625 and then do 650. If you're willing to go up to 800, for example, take it in little bits. Don't just bid 800, because if it was 700, you're going to be feeling a little silly if you could have saved $100. But we talked about a Barnhart Black Pastel earlier. You can kind of see just some of the gorgeousness it does, how it just takes the edge of the Black Pastel and just oomps it even more. It's such an incredibly awesome animal. A lot of power here too, depending on what directions you want to go. There's nothing ever any bad direction you can go with any of the genes that you're playing around with here. Absolutely gorgeous animal and a great one to end on. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do get anything from these auctions, whether it's this one or in past ones, let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing about it. If you liked hearing about a lot of the genes we talked about today, you can actually check out our video we did on some of those right here and here.